guys, I am back for another video. Just in my daily research of just questioning everything. I love to just go into etymology. And I tell you, what got me on this trip is that I was thinking of how I've watched some videos recently that people tell me, oh, you should look at this or you should look at that, look at this person. And I know that there's a new narrative that's being spun to bedazzle the minds of the masses. Well, I came across a video, and apparently there's these, I guess they're agents, CIA agents, I don't know what they are. They're out here saying and making claims that they are from other worlds, like they're from Zeta Reticuli and all of this stuff. Well, please, all you have to do, go and start looking up the etymology of these words that they are using. They're going to then tell you exactly what's going on. And I'm telling you, I am just the person to question what the narrative is. And I'm questioning literally everyone right now. And this whole narrative that's coming for the age of Aquarius, this narrative is about space aliens. And space aliens is right here. It means it's right here. So space is Earth, and aliens are inhabitants from this Earth, because that's what extraterrans are. Terrans, extraterrestrials, they're Earthlings, and they're from here, and they're right here in different places, possibly where we can't see, because we're very limited in our perspectives. We're limited in where we can go, and we can't see into other planes of existence. So I do invite people, and I encourage them to go and look up Zeta Reticuli. Okay, so you looking up Zeta? It's the 6th letter of the alphabet, and it tells you to go and look at Z. So Z's right below. The name of the letter Z in the alphabet is called Z. This is 1400, probably from Old French Zed, from late Latin Zeta, and of course, Latin, as we know, is Roman. And these are the things that we need to look at very closely, because there's a pattern here where Rome and Germany are coming up in a lot of our etymology. If you go into words and terms, looking at their base root, it usually most likely will go into Germany and Rome. So from Hebrew, Zayin. Now, Zayin is this symbol over here, right here. This one looks like a weird T. You know, it's kind of Arabic, so it looks like a kind of T, and it's Zayin. All right, watch this. Literally means weapon. That's what that letter means. That's what the word means. Zeta, weapon. Okay, so keep that in your mind. So called in reference to the shape of this letter in ancient Hebrew. So it's a type of weapon, quite possibly a sword. You know, if this was the hilt up here and that was the sword. Remember those swords, those curved swords? That's what that looks like. Kind of interesting, right? Okay. U.S. pronunciation is Z, first attested in 1670s. Other dialectal names for the letter are Izzard, like wizard, like lizard. Izod, remember Izod? Uzard and Zod. I just thought these were really interesting, like lizard, wizard, Izod, buzzard. It's all kind of related. So remember, it means weapon, right? Okay, let's go look at the next part. Zeta Reticuli. Okay, reticuli. Well, there's ridicule, and the lady's small handbag. It's a little net, a networking bag. So it's like a net, basically, because if you go into this other one, it says net as well. It's like a little net, reticulate. So it captures something, it holds something. So far we have a weaponized net, a according to what Zeta Reticuli actually means. And these are the things, like they're using words and terms to come up with a narrative to bedazzle the minds of the masses. So, this is what I always do. I'm questioning what they're telling us. And I wish more people would question on this level. Let's just go and dig up what words they're using, because they're telling us something without actually telling us. They're just giving us a story. And we need to question the story that's being spun right now. It's being perpetuated by these forces. So I went into all of this and I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. But I wanted other people to realize that this is what they're doing. It's just a new narrative for the new age. And a lot of people are being tricked by the narrative. I know I have friends who are following the whole Galactic Federation and all. I can't do this. I can't, because when I look in the past, there's nothing pertaining to anything like that. Galactic Federation and all this narrative that's being spun now. They didn't have this in the ancient past, and they actually had higher technology than we do now. So it tells me a lot. Looking into Tartaria, looking into Atlantis, looking into some great cataclysmic war that happened between all of these nations, that's what I'm seeing. And now, whoever the victor was of all those wars is working in conjunction and unison with the other dark forces around the world to spin this new narrative. And that's what I want people to be careful of. Don't sell out to the latest idea. Do some digging first, do your research, do your homework, and better yet, connect inwardly with your divine guidance, because that's the thing that's going to save us the most. A funny little story. Today, I was going to my town and I was on the way there and I was connecting, thinking about the parking spot I usually get. And I got the download that there's someone in my parking spot and that I would have to park across the street. Well, lo and behold, I got there and there was somebody in my normal spot and I had to park across the street. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. I'm starting to connect a little bit here with the divine presence of nature, because I'm constantly connecting with the plants. I'm talking to them, I'm singing to them, I'm loving them, sending them good intentions. Also, the trees and, pretty much everything that's in nature, I'm trying to connect more with, because that's going to be the way that we connect divinely with our higher intentions, our higher selves. We begin to connect with the inner spirit, and then the inner spirit begins to speak to us inwardly as our own thoughts. So it's like having a good friend riding along with you in your mind, because I think it's amazing. I feel like that's the connection that we had lost so long ago. And now we're gaining it back, because that's going to be part of the metaphysical aspect of our world that we're now regaining. So I wanted to talk a little bit about a website, evolvedministry.com. I have actually purchased the classes, and it's just for the monthly fee that he charges. And you can go and you can learn how to do aerokinesis, for example. You can go and learn how to capture the wind with your thoughts and your body and your mind. So you can go and learn these metaphysical processes that have been lost to us for so long. I know that this is real because I have personally just been out. While I was on Walking Dead, I went out and I started moving the clouds and removing the chemtrails and doing things of this nature. And I somehow knew I could do this, and especially amplifying my thoughts once I had the knowledge about the crystals and what Marcel Vogel had to say. So these are the things that you can practice just on your own. You can go out here and work with the 4 elements of alchemy, inwards and outwards, and start to find out who you truly are, because these are our abilities that are now returning. So excited. Okay, so I'm going to go over this too. This is going to be just a little potpourri of different information. So I came up with this notion of the plasmones and the demons in the graphene. Now, this is something that people can go and look at. This is at ui.adsabs, adsabs.harvard.edu. So this is an official thing, and it talks about the demons in the graphene. And, people don't need a whole lot of dialogue on that, but it just talks about the response of graphene in a range of temperature and doping where both electrons and holes are present. Why would they even use this term for this official paper? I don't know. It doesn't go into a whole lot of detail. That was the interesting part. But just to hear that, demons in the graphene and plasmon. So plasma, we know what plasma is. Plasma is that etheric quality of water, basically. Water is a type of plasma. It is magnetic. I saw some interesting experiments today where I had some water that had been sitting outside, so it had some natured particulates in it. And as I was trying to fill up a fountain that I have outside, I just began pouring it, but I was trying to avoid all the little floaty things in it. And when I spun the big basin that I was pouring from, it would, like a compass, all of the little floaty things would magnetize towards the water that I was trying to fill up. And no matter what way that I turned it, it would magnetize. So the water, I've heard, is magnetic. So I did an experiment where I walked away from the fountain and I spun the bowl, and it didn't do that. So that's just a little experiment that anybody can do. Just grab a bowl and maybe put something that floats in it and try to like get closer to other water and watch what happens, and spin the bowl around trying to pour it, and just watch how it it reacts to the other water. It's trying to get to it, so it's magnetic. Very fascinating thing. And it says that in Franz Barden's work. It talks about how water's magnetic. Makes sense to me. Okay, so I just wanted to add this little note too. When you type in Zeta Reticuli, they just happen to put this little symbol up here. Very interesting, right? That it actually looks similar to the Hebrew one, the Hebrew letter Zayin. Now remember, this looks like a sword. You guys seen these saber type swords? You know the one. Looks like this, kind of. It also looks like a phallus if you had it pointed down. But look at this symbol. What does that look like? Kind of similar. This is Saturnian to me. See that? This Saturn symbol is almost similar to our $sign too, which is supposed to be a lash. So basically you take this center line and you put it through the S, but this S is backwards. This is supposed to be a scythe. But look at this right here. This one, saber, Zayin. This, see what I see? Isn't that fascinating? Guys, symbolism speaks its own language. Zeta Reticuli Latinized from, and they have to put the symbol. I don't know why they're putting this symbol. Never seen this symbol ever in my life, but sure looks like this. If you just alter some things, take this part off, then boom. They've got this swoop backwards, but that's what you can do. It's all in the creation of the angles. Everything is creating. What is it doing? Okay, and they're saying it's a binary star system. I don't buy into their stories. I really don't. I just don't. I mean, look at how ridiculous this looks. They're like, yep, here he is. That looks like, I don't know, any human. But look at the elongated skull. Do you see this? Just like Paracas skulls. How convenient. Who's to say this thing isn't from under the earth as well? I'm just not buying their, 50 million light years or whatever story. I'm just not. I can't subscribe to that because of where I've been in alchemy, in spiritual sciences, in astrotheology. There's none of this information that's being perpetuated right now. There's none of that information there. And there would be evidence, just like there's evidence of Hyperboreans and all these other different species of beings that are here on Earth. But they're trying to make us think that, oh, it's from out there somewhere. I don't buy it. But that's just me. So I would just say go and look at some of this stuff and question everything. One of the things that got me set in motion thinking about this Zeta Reticuli thing was when I signed up for this email platform. It was actually the platform to do chatting for Evolved Ministry, to leave messages to people. You have to sign up for Discuss, which I didn't want to do, but I do want to connect with these people. So the email that was confirmed came from this Zeta Global. And I was like, okay, I need to go look at this Zeta Reticuli thing. And of course, you can see here, powered by One Trust. Trust us, all of this trust and all of these things. I don't trust them as far as I could pick them up and throw them. They are pulling us in a direction, guys, and that direction is not good. It really needs to be said more and more that as we move forward embracing this technology, all they're going to do is try to squeeze us to get closer to their Borg system, which is going to be integrated inside the physical human body. So that is in the future. I don't believe that timeline is near to us in this moment, but we are getting very close to the moment where we go all the way digital currency. Now, hopefully we do have the rainbow cash, is what I've heard in this country. I do not know if it's true. I haven't seen the evidence of it. But apparently there will be some sort of tangible asset that's going to be gold backed. It's coming. It's probably going to be part of the BRICS nations. There is some big change coming. That's why we're going to see this dark winter go out with a bang. Like they're going to show themselves even more, show themselves like who they truly are, what their alignment is, and hopefully people will see that these people who have been following the darkness are trying to create hell on earth. They are possessed. They are not of our frequency, and they are pulling us in a direction. And I believe it's all just an educational experience for your soul to be able to see the differences between light and dark. Each one of us has the choice to choose the light or the dark. And I believe that you'll turn into what Gollum is if you choose darkness. I believe that you'll start to transform. And I believe that's what we were seeing with a lot of the Hollywood elites and stuff. So that's just another thought and how I got to this whole questioning Zeta Reticuli. So I'm just going to talk about some of the little talking points that I have just across the top bar here, because this is what I do. I just collect knowledge. It's what I do every day. I can't help it. I'm very curious. So I had heard about the language of the birds, and this information came from Fulcanelli, and he talks about the language of the birds. And I believe that there's some secret key about this knowledge of the birds. They sing in a high frequency, but I believe too that with us and our world, we're actually supposed to be singing more. And we're supposed to be singing in a beneficial way, not this distortion of music that we have today. But remember all the different shows, like the TV shows and the musical movies and all this stuff that we used to have? That's kind of what comes to mind, is like we don't really have those that much anymore. I like in Hollywood, I don't see any of them. And it used to make us feel good, if you watch one, it always had an uplifting message, especially things like Mary Poppins, even though that's Disney, I don't trust them. But it was very uplifting. It made our hearts sing when we had this joy and this happiness. But now we don't really have that so much. And It just seems like we're going down this trail where we're losing the connection of this true inner wisdom of song in the heart. Our hearts want to sing. And in order to do this, we have to learn how to become childlike again. So, I was looking into this just to dig more about what the language of the birds was, and I believe that there's some secrets here that need to be investigated. So, if you guys have any thoughts on this, please share them in the comments. So, this is another video that I came across, and this is a secret book of the three sovereigns and the seal of the 9 immortal realms. Now, what's fascinating about this, I looked at this because of what Yggdrasil says about the 9 realms and the different giants that are basically elemental giants, and they live in 4 different realms. But then there's also the realms of the elves and the dwarves and all these other things that are in that narrative. And it also ties into Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a reference to Saturn. And what I was thinking about with that was how the Gollum was actually, he used to be a hobbit, but then because of his greed and his desire for material gain, which was the ring represents material gold and power. And he then began to change physically, mentally, everything. He went dark. So again, in some of my other videos, I've expressed this, how when you begin to go dark in your mind, you begin to change physically and emotionally. Everything changes about you. And perhaps this is what's happened to these greedy men who have been out here, who have made places and homes beneath the ground, that there's no turning back for them. And that eventually you devolve in such a way that you look like what they call space aliens. Because look at how Gollum looks like an alien. I mean, it makes sense to me. He has the elven ears, but his head, he's starting to become sullen. His eyes are bulging, they're starting to bug out, and he's just really transforming. So then you have space aliens who begin to look very similar to the Gollum. Now, from what I gather, these things are actually wearing a suit, like some of them can be. I'm sure that there's different types. They are cyborgs, some of them, because that's what people have said. But then some people have said that they removed the suit that they're in, and I would imagine it would be something like this thing. When they took the suit off, it was like these were lenses. These are some type of lens, and that would tell me that this being cannot be in our sun, because the sun would probably kill them instantly. So if you can hack this suit open and expose them to the sunlight, they will die. But they are actually burnt up, like they're like old wood or something. And they smelled like burnt cinnamon, one person said. One person had said that they smell like burnt sulfur, which would make sense if you're from below ground and there's really a place called hell. Then, and then think about the water that comes from the ground. Like we have Indian Springs here, and it smells like sulfur. So that water's probably coming from deep beneath the earth. But these are just some of the things to consider that we're dealing with. These Zeta Reticuli, I'm telling you, I'm not following this narrative, and I'm very wary about what's being spun right now as a narrative. And I think, most people, if you have any good sense about you and you have your inner wisdom, I think that you'll probably be very wary about this too. Okay, so going back to this video, I have not finished this yet. This is 34 minutes long. I have so many things that I look at because I'm on the move while I'm listening to some of these things. I just listen while I'm doing other tasks because I don't have a whole lot of time just to sit here and watch it. But I will listen, and I just want to see what people are saying. And there's more and more people talking about seeing other beings, seeing other creatures. There's different experiences out here. It's getting really weird, y'all. So here's another thing I've actually been looking into is alchemy more and more, because I feel like alchemy is where I want to personally go in order to figure out what this world's about, like what is really going on. And with alchemy, it is tied to the spirit, it's tied to all things of nature, how we're connected to nature, and how things tick, basically. So I feel like this kind of knowledge truly needs to be taught in the schools again, even to older people, because there's that thing called electric culture out there where people are adding these spiraled copper wires and cords and pipes and things of this nature to their gardens. And they're saying about all the great results that they're having with their plants. Of course, they're having great results. And I share what I've come across on Facebook because I've been looking just a little bit into alchemy. So, copper equates to Venus energy, which is the energy of the plants. So, the energy of the plants is green, right? Like they're green, they put off green. And even though some plants are poisonous, they're still a part of the Venusian energy that is all around us. And that is the energy of the love frequency. So right now we're having a hard time trying to figure out what's going on with the world, why there's so much discord in the world. Well, it's us, guys. It's us. And when we disconnect from nature and all natural things, it causes more problems. It causes us to become sick. This is what we're missing, and we don't see it yet as a collective. We don't see that we need nature. Nature is what holds us in the balance of all things, is her light, her knowledge, her ways, respecting her, loving her, nurturing her, growing our foods in the soil, not in hydroponics, not in other man-made concepts of what the plants need to be grown in. That's only distorting reality. Why are we trying to outmatch nature and natural laws? It makes no sense. So that's just another thought that I had out on the table. All right, so another video I came across was by JWTV. Now, he's constantly putting out these videos, and even though I don't agree with a lot of what he says because it seems to be a lot of fear-based information, it is good to just remain aware of what the crazies are doing in the world, and the crazies being those who are running the show, pretty much. The Vatican is readying for strange entities around the world, 2024, and I do believe we're about to see a huge, great deception. Now, one of the things that I just experienced last Friday night about 10 o'clock was I looked up in the sky and I saw this line of blue lights, just in a straight line going across the sky. They were individual little blue, I mean, you can call them flying saucers, but they were in a line like a train. And this one guy that I was talking to said, he just turned around, looked up and said, "Oh, yeah, that's Starlink." But what if it isn't? What if they're labeling things Starlink and just giving it a label when it's not? I don't know. I mean, I don't work for Starlink, so I would have to have someone that officially works for Starlink to actually validate the claims that are out there. Because again, what's happening with places like Starlink and all that, like Hollywood, they have non-disclosure agreements with people that work for them. So there's a lot of things that are still hidden from us, and we need to be aware of those things because it's about to get real with everything. And I don't know if you guys have noticed the dark light that the sun is now emitting because of all the particulates in the sky. It's just eerie. It's weird how the sun has gone into this dark phase. Even on a day where the sun is bright, it just seems to be dim. And maybe that's just another aspect of the Saturnian influence that's coming in from the shadow realm. But also during that night where I saw what they call SpaceX, there was that glow that everybody was talking about. I noticed that the earth was glowing red. It was weird. Like over the treetops where you would normally see like city lights kind of off in the distance, it was red. And I was like, what is that? I just thought it was weird. And no, I certainly didn't think it was the aurora borealis, because the aurora borealis is up north and it's green and it moves and it's flowing. But this was stationary and kind of dim. So apparently DARPA is busy at work, because DARPA owns HARP. I saw somebody that made a video that said it was HARP, but people need to understand that HARP was taken over by DARPA, the space weapons. So what are they doing? They're using all of this technology, all the cell towers for our cells and all the other cells of nature, to alter things, to destroy things, quite possibly, to use frequencies that are destructive and harmful. And, you know, I've just questioned everything, especially that information that I came across with American Tower. American Tower is owned by DARPA, and that's all of our water towers. Now, I don't know what they're actually planning with that, but that seems really odd that a technological weapons company would buy up all the water towers. Guys, if you don't have eyes to see that hell is on earth and they're creating it right now, God help us all, you know? So, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up, and, you know, just more food for thought. The things that are coming about, we need to be very, very aware of. And I know the people on my channel are pretty aware of a lot of things, which is, you know, like, hallelujah, kumbaya, let's get to the end of this great changeover. It's coming. I've been to places that are cashless, and that is moving in faster than anyone can imagine. So all of our entertainment places like Disney and Universal Studios, the Great Wolf Lodge that has the indoor water park, Six Flags over Georgia, all of these places are now cashless. And there's a lot of restaurants that are cashless. There's now robots rolling out that are serving food in some restaurants. And you go to any other restaurant and they're short-handed. You know, they don't have all of the waiters and wait staff that they need. We are about to see a huge, huge change. And I believe it's truly coming this fall with Trump, who is going to take office. And in October is usually when the darkness likes to do their actions, because in the months of light, it's not really good for them to try to do dark things because it's not dark enough. The energy's not right. So fall is when it begins, where they can start actually pushing and pulling the energies in their favor. And that's what they do. If you go back and look in history, you'll see that October is a huge month for different events that take place that are terrorist related or otherwise. So keep your eyes peeled, stay vigilant, stay joyful no matter what, and I will see you guys on the next one.